Stephanie Turner, a USA fencing athlete, was disqualified just last week from a USA fencing event because Stephanie refused to fight against a trans female athlete. Let's get into it. All right. USA fencing disqualifies female fencer for refusing to fight against a trans opponent. Now, first of all, let me just say it's important to note that this is a USA fencing event. This is not an NCAA event. As we both know, President Trump has already signed an executive order where he basically banned women who are females to participate or compete against trans people in sports. So basically, Trump's executive order states that, hey, only women assigned at birth can compete with women. And then the NCAA, I think like a week later, let me see here, it wasn't even a week, it was a day later, the NCAA came right behind it and made their policy that coincided with President Trump's policy. It said, yep, only women assigned to female at birth would be able to participate under the NCAA guidelines. So that's, the president's executive order, and then the NCAA's order. Will it be challenged in federal court? I don't know. We've got to stick around and find out. But this, what we're talking about now with Stephanie Turner, this was not an NCAA event, even though I think she may be a student athlete, but this event itself was not an NCAA event. And so when she had a fencing competition last week, she went up against, her opponent was a trans woman, and she said that she just thought it was unfair to compete against a trans woman because they have an unfair advantage, and this is women's sports. And so the fencing referee, I think is what they call him in fencing, I think it's a referee, but anyway, the person in charge disqualified Stephanie. Said, no, if you're not going to compete, then you're disqualified. And the USA fencing event, they basically, let me pull it up here. They said they have rules here. Right here, it says the USA fencing in 2023, they enacted its current transgender and non-binary athlete policy in 2023, which said that it based its principle on that everyone should have the ability to participate in sports, and was based on research available of the day. And basically it said, USA fencing will always err on the side of inclusion, and we're committed to amending the policy as more relevant evidence-based research emerges, or as the policy changes takes effect in a wider Olympic and Paralympic movement. Yeah, so basically it's saying, the USA fencing, I think it's the USA International Fencing Organization, if I'm not mistaken, here, that's their policy. They say, listen, we include everybody, anybody and everybody. This is not an NCAA event. So over here in fencing, everybody is welcome. And if she doesn't want to participate, then she's going to be disqualified. A lot of people up in arms about this. This made big headlines, whether trans athletes can compete against female, well, I guess I shouldn't use that language. I should say women who are assigned female at birth. That's the language that they're using. Women who are assigned gender at birth cannot compete against, or should not be competed against, or maybe they should, according to the U.S. fencing. You tell me what you guys think. A famous tennis player, she's retired, Martina Navratilova, she was pretty upset about this, and she's quoted here, as the article said, quote, "This is what happens when female athletes protest. Anyone here still think this is fair? I am fuming, and shame on USA fencing, and shame on you for doing this. How dare you throw women under the gender BS bus?" That's famous, legendary Martina Navratilova's perspective on it. So clearly she does not agree with USA fencing. Clearly she thinks that women should compete with women and not trans. What do you think? You think, was the USA fencing fair, or did they do the right thing here? Or do you think, do you agree with Martina Navratilova that only women should compete against women? I would love to hear your thoughts. This is an ongoing issue. As you see, the president chimed in on it and actually wrote an executive order, and the NCAA double backed on it. So you tell me, what do you think? Do you think trans athletes should be competing in today's society against women assigned at birth, or do you think it should only be women versus women? This is a hot topic, and this is going on in the world of sports, and this is only going to get more talked about. I'm sure you're going to hear more legislation passed on this. I'm sure you're going to hear more court cases about this. This is interesting. You tell me what you think. I want to hear your thoughts. It's your brother, Attorney Jeff. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell, get the notification so you always be informed whenever I drop. It's your brother, Attorney Jeff.